Hey, Tommy from the Run Testers. In this video, I'm going to be taking a look at the Adidas Adizero SL2 and comparing it with the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. Let's see what I thought. The Adidas Adizero SL2 costs £110 or $130. It weighs 240 grams or 8.5 ounces for men in a size 8 and the drop is 9mm. The Puma Velocity Nitro 3 costs £110 or $135. It weighs 271 grams or 9.6 ounces for men in a size 8 and the drop is 10mm. The Adidas Adizero SL2 is a daily running shoe designed for versatility and affordability. It aims to balance comfort and cushioning with a good level of energy return thanks to a combination of Lightstrike and Lightstrike Pro foams in the midsole. Although it doesn't have the continental rubber outsole seen in many of the brand's shoes, there's still a healthy layer of outsole rubber to provide grip and durability. The upper is made from an engineered mesh that provides targeted support around key areas of the foot, as well as plenty of breathability when picking up the pace. And there's a modest level of padding to provide additional comfort. Thankfully, the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 isn't a major overhaul to the hugely popular Puma Velocity Nitro 2, instead making a few adjustments to improve the overall experience of the shoe. The biggest of those is a slight increase to the amount of dual density midsole foam to improve comfort, although this does increase the weight slightly. There's also a modified padding design that aims to improve comfort, specifically around the heel, and new power tape strips on the upper to improve structure and support. As with all previous generations, there's an impressive covering of the brand's excellent Puma Grip outsole rubber, meaning it can tackle all conditions, even lighter trails. Okay, so the fit for me in these two shoes, the Puma Velocity Nitro 3, I would say is quite a roomy shoe. There's definitely a little bit of extra space in the forefoot in comparison to a lot of the shoes that I test, and it's quite roomy in the forefoot and the midfoot as well. It still gets a very nice lockdown fit for me, and I definitely get it in my UK size 8. But if you're on the fence, you might want to go down half a size in this shoe, but I probably wouldn't advise it for most people. So stay to your size in the Puma Velocity Nitro 3. The Adidas Adizero SL2. Now, I normally make a mistake with Adidas shoes where I should be getting 8.5s and I always get 8s and I forget that I need to get an 8.5 because they do size down a little bit when you get the UK versions of the shoes. So, this one I got a size 8 again, and what I actually found was it felt fine. It's actually a little bit roomier than something like the Adios Pro 3, which I did have a load of problems with. The main issue with the Pro 3 is that it has a very shallow forefoot, so the tops of my toes rub a lot when I do long distance racing in it. I haven't had that problem with the SL2, it's been absolutely fine. It's a fairly narrow shoe, so you might have a problem with that, but I would say for an Adidas shoe, it's actually closer to your actual size, so you might want to size up half a size in this shoe, probably should do, but I was fine in my UK size 8. Okay, so these are two shoes that if you're looking for a good value option, these are probably going to crop up in your search. They're both quite similar prices and they're both really designed to do similar things. They're sort of all-roundery shoes that designed for daily training. You want comfort, you want to be able to run a little bit faster in them. They're both shoes that are going to crop up in your searches for things like that, and in many ways they are very similar. It's quite difficult to choose between these two shoes if you're looking for a good value daily trainer. I think it really comes down to that versatility and speed. So the Adidas Adizero SL2 is it's a very comfortable daily shoe, but I would say it skews a little bit more towards faster efforts. So when this shoe really kicks into gear is when you're maybe going out and doing a faster session. You can use it for intervals, you can use it for tempo sessions, fartleks, anything like that. It does a good job at that. It feels quite nimble on the feet. It feels like you can really pick up the pace quite quickly in it. It doesn't feel like a massively cushioned shoe. It isn't a massively cushioned shoe. It's actually a pretty lean shoe, and as a result, it feels like you can use it for a lot of stuff. I've done quite a lot of training in this shoe now, and that has included interval sessions for my Valencia marathon training block, and I found it to be a really good shoe for intervals and picking up the pace for up to 1K interval blocks. You can really pick up the pace nicely in this, and it's got a nice nimble approach to running. It doesn't feel like it's got any particularly impressive tech in it to do that. It doesn't feel like there's loads of energy return in it. It doesn't feel like it's really giving you a lot from a rocker or anything like that. It really comes down to the fact that it just feels so nimble. and you can just pick up the pace quite quickly in it. In many ways, it feels like a very traditional, faster running shoe. I think if this version of the shoe come out maybe 10 years ago, it would probably be one of the race shoes that people are buying, because it does feel like you can really pick up the pace in it. I think now when you compare it with things like carbon plate shoes, obviously it's not going to be up there with some of the faster versions of those shoes, but it does feel like a shoe that is designed more for that versatile training when you want to maybe pick up the pace. Now, if you want to focus more on the cushioned daily stuff, so one of the things that I tend to do more in my training is easy runs. Most of my sessions throughout a week for a marathon are probably going to be easier sessions. This is a shoe that is probably a bit better for that, because it feels a bit more cushioned. It feels there's a bit more on your feet. It's still quite versatile. I know Nick talks about this shoe a lot because he can use it for a lot of different things, and it is a very good versatile shoe. But I definitely think the shoe skews more, for me, towards those easier sessions as well. I'd be happy to pick this up for nice easy runs, recovery runs, longer sessions where I'm running at a nice consistent pace, but I probably wouldn't go for it for interval sessions and things like that, because I just don't think it's got the pickup in it. I don't think it feels as nimble as the SL2. That's really the main difference between these two shoes for me. The midsole is very similar in how it delivers. They're both quite balanced midsoles, so neither is a ridiculously soft midsole, and as a result, that's what makes it quite versatile. Something like the Propel V5, New Balance's affordable shoe, that's really soft and you can't pick up the pace in that shoe, whereas these two are both really designed for that versatility, and it's massively thanks to that midsole being really, really well balanced. Other than that, I would say the other things to say about the shoe is that stability wise, I would say that the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 is better. It's a bit wider, it's a bit more on the foot, and it definitely feels like your foot's a bit more secure. I think the SL2, some people might struggle with the width of this. It's quite a narrow shoe, which is sort of what, when you're running fast and doing interval sessions, you kind of expect that with a shoe. You want less shoe on the foot. You want to be landing in a way that, there's not loads of shoe there, but some people might struggle with that. So I wouldn't say stability is an issue with it, but it is a narrow shoe, so if you're looking for something really stable on the feet, then the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 would win on that count. The outsole on both of these is very good. So you've got the Puma Grip outsole and the Puma Velocity Nitro 3, which is fantastic, one of the best outsoles you can get on a shoe. You can use this for trails, lighter trails, so things like gravel paths, public footpaths, canal paths, things. This shoe is fantastic for it, and is probably better than some of the road to trail shoes that some brands are selling. The SL2, the outsole doesn't have the Continental that is used on some of the more expensive Adidas shoes, but it's still a very good outsole. There's a lot of covering on it. It's very good at gripping most conditions that I've run in, and is a really solid outsole. But I'd still say that the Puma Velocity Nitro 3 has got a far superior outsole. It's just a little bit grippier and just feels much better on wet conditions and things like that. So my verdict on these two shoes, tricky one, because I really like both of these shoes. I think they're both great value options, and if you can get older versions or these versions cheaper, which I did. I bought the Adidas Adizero SL2 for I think about £80. I think I can't remember which website it is, so I won't say it now, but I got it for about £80, and it's only come out a few months ago, so that's a really, really good value deal for such a great versatile shoe. Puma Velocity Nitro 3, I'm not sure if it's on sale yet, but the early versions of the shoe normally come down quite a lot in price. So even though these two shoes are great value at the price RRP, you can probably find them noticeably cheaper, and then it makes them really, really good options, especially, well, for anyone basically. If you're a new runner and you're looking for a pair of trainers and you want something that can do a lot of stuff, both of these shoes are really good options. But I would say for a new runner, you probably want to get the Velocity Nitro 3 just because it's a little bit more accessible and a little bit more cushioned for those easier sessions when you're just starting. For people who've been running for a long time, it's great to have shoes like this in your collection because they're just workhorses. You can just use them for all those runs when you don't want to use your expensive trainers if you've got rotation, and these are both great options for that. I think it just comes down to that versatility. If you really want a shoe that can cover you for a lot of your sessions and you're doing a lot of faster stuff, get the SL2. If you're looking for something that's really comfortable, but you do some faster stuff maybe, then the Velocity Nitro 3 is probably the better option. It just comes down to that use case for me, but I think they're both fantastic shoes. So out of these two shoes, I would probably go for the Adidas Adizero SL2, just because I am doing a lot of interval sessions at the moment and I'm more likely to pick up this shoe to do those, but it's fine on the easier runs as well, just not as good as the Velocity Nitro 3 because of that little bit of extra cushioning in the midsole. That's it from me on this Versus. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, click that little bell. And if you go into the caption below, you can find it into our podcast, which comes out a couple of times each month. Thanks a lot for watching. Catch you next time.